This is insane. The Pittsburgh Steelers have some new news regarding their wide receiver one as they head into the 2025-2026 season. My name is Peyton Kleppy. Real quick, if you guys are not subscribed, click that subscribe button down below. We're going to get you guys the latest Steelers news. If it's worth talking about, we will get it to you. Steelers news regarding injuries, coaches, players, GM news, anything Steelers, we're going to get it right to you as soon as it comes out. Let's get into the video. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of different stuff regarding our future. So real quick, George Pickens, big news regarding him. You know, Steelers have been very adamant about this guy. They've been very hesitant to glorify him and treat him like they did AB. You know, AB was a great wide receiver for us for about 8 to 9 years, but as we know, he went down a crazy path. He did win a Super Bowl, not with us. Once he decided he was bigger than the team, and he decided to request a trade in 2018. So, ever since then, the Steelers have been very hesitant to give all their receivers or give their young receivers all that attention, all that money, because they don't want another AB, which I know none of you guys do either. So, George Pickens, he's been great for us statistically. This guy's been great on the field most of the time. At the end of the season last year, he did have kind of a collapse after his hamstring injury, as well as some of the off-field reports, I think definitely got to his head by the end of the season. But other than that, this guy started the season off very strong, and last year he played his best year of football. So, looking to the future, if this guy can get his attitude problems down, I think definitely he's going to be a star for our offense moving forward. But it's really just getting those mental reps and really figuring out how you're going to deal with losses, how you're going to deal with drop catches, how you're going to deal with fumbles. He's a young guy. He's my age. He's a young guy. So, he's got a lot to learn. But I really think Coach Tomlin and the rest of the Steelers organization will really put an emphasis on getting this guy what he needs and getting his mind right, because he needs to be a leader for us. He's going into that third, fourth year. He needs to become a leader, He's not one of the young guys anymore. He's one of our role models and leaders in our offense now. So, our GM Omar Khan, the Khan artist, came out today, and a quote from him was, I had a really solid exit meeting with GP, and I can tell you that he has a desire to be great. And we all know this, whenever this guy does not make a play, he's screaming and yelling. It may not be directed at the right person. Sometimes it's on his own teammates, but he definitely has that fire, and he wants to be one of the greatest of all time. But and he said he has a desire to be great here. That's key. A desire to be great here. We have a desire for him to be great and to be great here with respect to the contract. We won't discuss that publicly, and usually those things are addressed at a later date. So, this is a good quote from Omar Khan. He's definitely saying that Steelers do want to keep George Pickens in the mix, and they do want to pay him as soon as they can. Whether that's going to be this offseason very soon or if it's going to be next year. He's made it obvious that the Steelers do want him in the future, and they want to keep him around, which I know at the end of the season it was tough to be a fan of George Pickens. He was really a hothead at the end of the season, as well as he really wasn't playing great. If you go back to some of those games, he did drop and he did miss out on a lot of those deep balls that him and Russ and him and Justin were connecting on earlier in the season. So whether or not that was due to the criticism, whether or not that was because of the hard knocks that was going on, which I think that definitely played a big role in the late season collapse. But if it was the game planning, or if it was the injury, I don't know. But Pickens really needs to clean it up as we go and move forward into the offseason and into the next phase in his career, because this guy is already a top 10, top 15 wide receiver. And I know we all want him to keep on growing and keep on showing us that he's the number one in Pittsburgh. We definitely need to surround him with some help, though. Earlier this season or later in the season, at the trade deadline, we brought in Mike Williams, who, a video that we made previously did discuss Mike Williams and his future in the NFL. He has been linked to the Baltimore Ravens, but that nothing's been official yet. So Mike Williams could come back into the fold. Could come back into the offense and help George Pickens out because obviously, George Pickens, he's a playmaker, he's a star receiver, but he needs some help as any offense does. You need a great number two to get that number one going. Like if you look at all the great offenses in the NFL, they have a great number one, but they also have a great number two. If you look at the Bengals, they got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and they got a legendary quarterback in Joe Burrow. But they got that 1-2 punch. Look at the Minnesota Vikings. They got Justin Jefferson. They got Jordan Addison. If you look at all these great teams, look at the Eagles, Super Bowl champions. They got Devontae Smith and they got A.J. Brown. They got a ton of weapons. So, if we could take some blueprints from those teams and copy off some of their homework, I definitely say bring in a great wide receiver too for George Pickens and keep helping him develop because if we look back in Steelers history, another name that I talked about earlier that I don't like bringing up, but AB, he had his best seasons when we had Juju Smith-Schuster in there. I think it was 2017, 2018. The two had over 2,000 receiving yards combined. Juju had like 1,400 and like 7 touchdowns. And AB had I think he had a lesser receiving, but he had like 15 receiving touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. So one of his best seasons. So, I'd really put an emphasis on bringing in that number 2 receiver this offseason, whether it's Mike Williams or somebody else like Deebo Samuel, who we've talked about, or Cooper Kupp, or DK Metcalf. That's a big name that I'd love to have in Pittsburgh, another big receiver. But we'll have to wait and see, But it's great news that George Pickens is finally, he's finally gotten some credit for his play on the field. Although he's had some off the field issues and some attitude issues, this guy is still a key player. He's still a key member of our offense. And having the GM actually come out and say that they want to keep him is definitely big. And it's definitely something to be optimistic about because Omar Khan is really not direct with a lot of the stuff. A lot of the moves he's going to make, he's not very clear on what he's going to do. If you look at a lot of the other players that are free agents this offseason, he really did not speak on them much. He spoke on Najee a while ago, but that has not been recent. He's not really spoke about Jalen Warren. He's really kept his mouth shut. So hearing him come out and say that George Pickens is trying to get that contract done, both sides are very engaged and really want it done. It's definitely something good to look forward to, definitely something to be optimistic about. Although this guy's definitely got some character issues here and there, he's a great player, and I think if he stays in Pittsburgh, it's going to be great for him. But he definitely needs to figure out the hothead issues and figure out how he can just be a great leader for us because this is bigger than him, Like I've said in the past, this is not the George Pickens NFL team. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going for that 7th Super Bowl, that 7th Lombardi. Add it to the trophy cabinet. So George Pickens, keep on balling, sign that contract, get that work done, and let's get that 7th Lombardi. Here we go, Steelers. That is all I got for you guys today. Peace out. Thank you guys.